Welcome, welcome to the C-Suite Leadership Journey. And I'm so excited for you to be here because I have the most incredible friend leader, servant leader for this Tampa community as a guest speaker today, who's going to share gold nuggets to use, things that you need to implement today so you can actually we can actually help you with your business to go the way that it needs to go. Because sometimes when we have this big idea, when we have been working so hard and we have been bumping ourselves to the wall, we don't know exactly what we need. And that's where we are here to give you that guidance. So before I introduce you to this guest speaker, I just want to let you know that I help business leaders improve team performance where they will be able to high scale their actually profitability, and not just that, they will be able to increase the income, the revenue by equipping them with keeping you with the excellent leadership skills, communication skills, and not just that, giving you the mentorship and your business so you can actually maximize your assets, maximize people that you have, maximize everything that you are encountered. So now let's go back to who is actually our new guest speaker today in this incredible interview series. So Hugh Campbell is a serious entrepreneur, having started and sold 3 companies. Can you believe it? All in the technology sector. He is currently the president of the AC4S Technologies, which is the IT tech support company for small business and medium-sized companies in the southeastern United States and their technology needs. He sold his last company, A4S company, after growing up to 330 employees and making over this revenue. Guys, you gotta listen to this. He actually has over $52 million in the annual revenues for this last company that he sold. He is now serving a number of boards, including BayCare, who is a $5 billion healthcare organization, Tampa Bay Economic Development Council, and Ultimate Medical Academy. And what is more, and is something that you probably know about me, is the military has my heart, because not just my husband is in the military or was in the military, but also I have my son who is in the Air Force. He is actually retired as a lieutenant colonel for the U.S. Armed Forces. Let's welcome our Hugh Campbell right now. Come on, Hugh. Welcome to this incredible and amazing C-Suite Leadership Journey.
Well, thank you so much, Candy. I really appreciate you having me, and I'm super excited to be here.
Excellent. So I know that you have been doing a lot of incredible things, especially because you create 3 companies, you sold 2 companies, now you're the president of AC4S IT Solutions support, actually the tech support for small companies and media companies, right?
That's right.
So tell us a little bit more about what his journey has been since you start with this incredible idea of becoming an entrepreneur.
Well, I will tell you, I tell people all the time that I'm an accidental entrepreneur. And the reason is, when I got out of the military, I went into the corporate environment. I was working for this company. It was fantastic. It was a $1 billion company, 5,000 employees. We were buying, doing acquisitions, all that kind of stuff. Very exciting time. But it turns out that my boss was leaving, and he went to go to a startup company. And I was like, okay, here's my chance. I'm going to go in and sit down and talk to the senior vice president for the engineering department. And I'm going to tell him I want that job. I'm ready for the promotion. Let's go, give it to me. And I did exactly that. And he sat there, listened to me. And at the end, he said, well, Hugh, you're a great director. But for this next VP position, I think you're too young. And I was like, what? Because I knew what I was doing. I knew the company, I knew the employees, I knew the customers, I knew our network, all of those things. And I was just shocked that he wouldn't pick me for the job. So when word got out in the company that I didn't get that job, most people were surprised. And ultimately what happened was a couple folks came up to me and said, hey, we're leaving to go to a startup company. We have some venture capitalists out of New York City, and they want to fund this company, this startup, and we need a vice president of engineering. Are you interested? So naturally, I said, yes, I'm interested. And that's how we got started with our first company, with venture capital, executing on a business plan that quite honestly was developed by someone else, but they knew, the money people knew that they needed operators, people to execute on the business plan. And that's how I got started with my first company.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is amazing. That's literally what they said when a rejection comes, is a redirection to the right path. And
That's
that's
right.
one that you just tell me exactly what happened is when you have some incredible, and I would say, opportunity that you were like so excited, and then you got rejected, but and then you start eventually your first journey in your company. That is awesome.
When one door closes, another one opens, as they say.
I
And,
100%.
and I tell people, well, that was a very bad day for me. I had no idea the journey and the path I would take and how wonderful it was.
Oh, wonderful, incredible. But it also, I believe that you have some challenges, some struggles, and things that you were completely unexpected, because being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's not something that you take for granted and feel like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million so easy. No, it's hard. It's a lot of hard work, discipline, commitment, congruency. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I will tell you, you're absolutely right. Being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. It's a serious, serious commitment. And I tell people, it's just like getting married. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort. You're in it 24 hours a day. It is a whole nother level of commitment. And I often ask people, what are you willing to sacrifice to realize your dreams? That's one of the things I often say in my public speaking when I'm talking to entrepreneurs. What are you willing to sacrifice to reach your dreams?
What did they say?
Well, most of them are stunned because, as you said, it's a lot of hard work, right? But there's all kinds of challenges. There's, as you know, you're the marketing person, you're the finance person. You're actually probably doing the work itself, whatever the firm is doing, whatever the product and service you're offering to your customers. So it's just so many different things that you have to get done. There's only 24 hours in the day, and often these things come out of nowhere, and sometimes it's regulatory. Oh, I had to file this or submit that or pay for this and all of these other things. And there's just so many things. Now there's lots of resources to help you, but quite often starting out, it's a big question mark, right?
Yes, especially we have multiple hats, and at the beginning it's like a hustle. I remember I was interviewing Thomas, and he mentioned something about that at the beginning you pay everybody else except for you. It's like all your money comes and you just pay everybody else. That happened to you too?
Absolutely. The second company I started, we were doing pretty well pretty early on, but still, everybody got paid. And I was like, okay, at some point it would be great if all of my time and efforts would actually, ultimately pay my bills, right? But yes, there's so many challenges. And I think, if you're going to start out as an entrepreneur, first off, you got to have some level of a plan. And some people will tell you got to do a business plan and all those things. And that's very helpful. But really, it's more important that you start than having everything laid out 100%. It's going to be perfect, because there really is no perfect time to start a business. There's certainly bad times to start a business, but there's no perfect time to start a business. but you should at least have some idea, some plan of what you're going to do, and the level of commitment it's going to take. So that, that's usually step one. Step two is, I have never started a company by myself. I think it's being an entrepreneur is kind of like a team sport. And you may be good in one thing, but you're gonna need people around you that are good in things that you're not. If you're a great salesperson, but you're not into the numbers, well, you better have a good numbers person. If you're a great numbers person, if you're a great engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is, you still have the business to run. So, it's imperative, that you also become that leader, that coach, and put together the winning team. That's probably one of the most important things that you can do as an entrepreneur, and is assembling that, that winning team. I often equate it to football, right? You've got a whole laundry list of requirements, but you only got, so many draft picks, and you got this thing called a salary cap. And so you can't have everything. So you have to pick and choose and get the right pieces and parts in place so that you're in the game. And then ultimately over time, you build the team that's going to allow you to go win the Super Bowl. That's what being an entrepreneur is kind of like.
Yes. Oh my God, you just nailed it. Especially when you say that you never started alone. And yes, you have to have somebody next to you who is going to support you the things that you don't know, or maybe partner with somebody or have part of the team that supports the business of the things that you don't have no idea. Especially, I know that there are so many entrepreneurs out there that they don't know anything about balance sheets, network capital. They don't know how to get a loan to sustain the sustainability of the company. And another thing is that they lack of hiring a mentor or a coach who support them into the business.
That's right. And that's exactly right. A mentor or a coach. I often tell people I'm part of the CEO Council of Tampa Bay. I live in Tampa Bay. And, I tell busy CEOs, other busy CEOs, that probably 80% of the time, how you're going to attack a problem, but you just want some validation, right? And then there's other times, 15 to 20% of the time, you have something out of left field, you have no idea, and you really need someone's guidance. What do I do here? And sometimes you may not approach the problem, you think you may have it, solved, but, there's probably a better way. So that mentor, that coach, that's someone that you can turn to when you're, when you're up at night at 2 o'clock in the morning, tossing and turning, figuring out, what's this next thing going to be? You want to bounce it off of somebody. So I think that's extremely important as well.
Yeah, I remember when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I was so hesitated. I was so resistant to hire somebody because in my mind was like, I can go to YouTube, I can go to Google. I'm a super driven person. I can get in all the books, I can get this figured out. But it took me a while to actually figure out and feel like, oh my God, no, I really need somebody to support me and to help me the right direction. So you mentioned something super critical is about leading with the winning team. So leading with the winning team, that it comes to you like natural? Do you went to a training? What did happen for you to figure out that you need to be a really good leader to have a winning team?
Well, I will tell you that's a really tough question for many folks, but for me, I happened to attend West Point, United States Military Academy at West Point. And, it is the military school for the Army, and it produces junior officers. But really, it's in many ways, it's an engineering school, and it has a long history of producing engineers. But really, the school is all about leadership. And how do you approach leading people in very difficult situations, because that's, a core competency for Army leaders. So, we actually took leadership classes, leadership courses, practical hands-on, and then you're immediately upon graduation thrust into leadership positions in the United States Army. So you are practicing what you were taught in school. And we did that for, for a number of years. And you get to hone and develop your leadership style. And you have to recognize that your leadership style may have to change depending on the situation. And sometimes it's quite directive. And sometimes it's quite collaborative. Being a servant leader is the common vernacular now. And so you study all those things, and it was a wonderful training ground. And then literally always being in some type of leadership position, both in the Army and then in the corporate environment, was a great help to me as I started my own company.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, because you have a really strong foundation. So Huey, I want to ask you something really, really important. You said that that you had so many challenges, and especially, because you started, you didn't know what to do, and then you become, you have the chance to implement all the leadership skills, especially because you're retired lieutenant for colonel for the Army. So you have a really, really strong foundation as a leader. So for those folks who doesn't have any foundation, they just come out of nowhere, they are really bored with their 9-to-5 job, and they want to start this entrepreneurship journey. What would you say to them that they need to step into the leadership, plus they need to have the support in their business?
Well, I will tell you, there's, first off, there's so many different sources to hone your leadership courses. Your firm helps people with that as an example, but there's lots of resources, and I think you have to really become a student of leadership and really develop those things. And I will tell you, one of the most powerful things that you can do is I think everyone knows a leader that they don't want to be like, right? So don't do that. Right. But I think the other thing that's also very important for people that are just starting out is that you have to understand that there's a very distinct difference between supervision and management and leadership. It's two different things. And I always say leadership is leadership is leadership. And there is no substitute for strong, positive leaders. It makes all the difference in the world in any organization that you're in. I don't care where you go. The difference is how the organization is managed and it's supervised is a direct reflection of the leadership of the organization. I don't care where it is. If you're going into a fast food restaurant that's managed well, supervised well, and has the proper leadership that motivates the employees, knows how to interact with the customers, blah, 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 versus a very large corporation, some of the largest companies in the world. It's all about leadership.
Yes, because that's what I always say to them. It said, no matter what, everything goes back to leadership. Anything that fails in your business, go back to leadership. Okay, how you leading yourself, how you leading your team, how you leading your customers, how you leading your program, how you leading every step to the way. So it's super critical. So what would you say that has been your biggest challenge and how do you overcome it?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. How much time do we have?
Few minutes.
No, I think that for me and the various companies that I've had over time, quite honestly, It's the regulatory environment and compliance. In the one company I had was in the federal sector. That's a big deal. Working in even technology now, the cybersecurity requirements are huge, and there's lots of compliance there that's bubbling up as well. So compliance is a big deal. Lots of places these days. But I think, really the biggest challenge is finding the right members of the team. And when you get that wrong, it's usually pretty expensive because you're wasting your time and your treasure. There are no great companies without great leadership and the team of people that provides the product or the service or whatever it is that they're doing. There is no great nonprofit without the leadership and the team of people. There is no great academic organization without proper leadership and guidance and the team of people. It just cuts across every industry, every sector, and all of those things. The biggest challenge is assembling the right members of the team who are properly motivated, who are technically proficient in whatever area that they're in, and want to go conquer that mountain.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges. I have been going through that. Yes, it's definitely a biggest challenge. So if you have to write a book about yourself, what would be the name and the summary?
Well, it would probably be a comedy.
Really?
No, if someone was going to write a book about Hugh Campbell, it would certainly be, I used to say, with the last company I had, I was going to write a book and it was going to be called If the American Public Only Knew. But that's one company at one point in time. If someone was going to write a book about me, it would certainly be about rising from very, very humble beginnings, struggling as a young child, and making the decision very, very early on that I wanted a different way of life, and I was willing to sacrifice in order to get there. Certainly my parents gave up a lot to get us to where we were, but I decided that I would sacrifice many, many things to make it out.
Beautiful. That is amazing. That is really amazing. That is really amazing. And especially if you want to share your how to raising, especially your young child. That is awesome.
Absolutely.
Really awesome. That is really awesome. Oh my God. I want to read it now. I want to read it. So
coming to stores near you soon.
now you have a commitment to write it down. So I know that you are president for the AC4S IT support. So is anything that you want to share with us, and especially with this community and YouTube and LinkedIn, and how they can connect with you? What are the offers do you have? What specialties, or anything that you want to share about your company?
Super. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity. So AC4S Technologies is a firm headquartered in the Tampa Bay area. We provide IT tech support to generally companies in the southeastern United States, but not all. And they have remote offices that stretch from Hawaii all the way to Washington State down to the suburbs of Miami. So we're just about everywhere. We help people with their technology solutions. We sell hardware, software. We help people with their cybersecurity. And in some cases, we help with new builds when people are doing a brand new facility and want to connect everything together with sensors and intelligent buildings and control systems and all those kinds of things. We understand what it's like to go from I have an idea to a pretty sizable organization and all the technology challenges that you're going to face as a leader, and we can probably help you out.
Oh my God, that is an awesome, awesome, awesome. So guys, I'm gonna leave his email, his personal email. Not just kidding, his business email, and also the website so you can connect to Hugh Campbell. He's an amazing and incredible friend, president, leader, and not just a leader, he's a community leader. He supports and volunteers in so many organizations, giving his talent and his wisdom to so many, and especially now that he's giving you his wisdom, his time to actually give you those 3 steps that you need to follow and implement it today, especially when you have to create your team, winning team, when you have to start and you don't need to do this alone. This is a very, very hard journey. And especially if you want to know about, if you're not really smart about the numbers, I would say marketing, sales, anything like that, there is so many things that you need to have that support. And Hugh Campbell just share with you that especially gift, because there are so many things that you probably overlook. And something that he mentions is finding the right people. Trust me, finding the right people to support your business, to scale it and to develop is hard. It's hard to actually give you, and I have been going through that. I went through a company that actually spent like a year, like giving them training, giving opportunities. It didn't work. I don't know how much, it didn't go anywhere. So there's a lot of things that we have to go through, but most importantly, leadership is all the way. Everything goes back to leadership. If you are not having a good income, back to leadership. If you are not having a good sales, back to leadership, right? Hugh Campbell, it's everything goes back to leadership. So is anything else that you would like to add to the community?
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to share. Yes, there's been lots of bumps and bruises along the way. It's never up and to the right, as you see with your revenues and your net income. It is a journey. It is a sacrifice. Don't give up, and keep after your dreams.
Don't give up and keep after the dreams. All right, guys. So let's say thank you to Hugh Campbell. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. And surely if you have any questions, just comment below and make your comments, any questions. And I'm sure he's part of this community as well. So he will be able to reply to you, connect with you, have a one-on-one section, and see how he can actually support your business to have the right tools, especially your IT support. That's super, super important. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, if you are a leader right now, remember, lead from your heart, because that's where the magic happens. See you guys now later. Bye.